The haunting of the Hinterkaifeck Farm. In the early 20th century, a chilling and macabre true story unfolded in a small rural village in Germany, leaving an indelible mark on history. This is the story of the Hinterkaifeck Farm and the gruesome events that transpired there. The setting. The Hinterkaifeck Farm was located in a remote area near the village of Gruesome in the German state of Bavaria. The farm was isolated, surrounded by dense forests and vast fields. The Gruber family, consisting of Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, and Victoria's two children, Cecilia Jr. and Joseph, lived a seemingly ordinary life on the farm. They were also joined by their maid, Maria Baumgartner. The warning signs. In the months leading up to the fateful events of 1922, the Gruber family experienced a series of strange occurrences. They discovered mysterious footprints in the snow, leading from the edge of the forest to the farm, but none leading back. They heard footsteps in the attic, and Andreas Gruber found a newspaper on the property that nobody in the family claimed to have brought home. Furthermore, the family's previous maid had quit, claiming that the farm was haunted. The discovery. On April 4, 1922, the Gruber family and their maid were discovered brutally murdered on the Hinterkaifeck Farm. Neighbors, concerned by the family's sudden silence and absence from church, decided to investigate. What they found was a scene of unimaginable horror. The 6 occupants of the farm, Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, their 2 grandchildren, and their maid Maria Baumgartner, had all been killed with a mattock, a tool similar to a pickaxe. The younger Cecilia had been killed in the barn, along with her mother and grandmother, their bodies stacked on top of each other and covered in hay. The maid, Maria Baumgartner, was murdered in her bed, while Andreas Gruber and his grandson Joseph were killed in the family's living quarters. The investigation. The investigation that followed the gruesome discovery was extensive, but ultimately unsuccessful. Police and local authorities were baffled by the seemingly random and brutal nature of the crime. They questioned numerous suspects, and even employed clairvoyance in an attempt to solve the mystery. One of the most chilling aspects of the case was the evidence that the murderer had stayed on the farm for several days after the massacre. Neighbors reported seeing smoke coming from the chimney, and the farm animals had been fed and cared for. In addition, food had been prepared and eaten in the kitchen, suggesting that the killer had made themselves at home after the murders. The theories. Several theories have been proposed as to who committed the murders and why. Some believe that the Gruber family was killed in a robbery gone wrong, while others think that the motive was personal. Others believe that the family's isolated lifestyle and the strange events leading up to the murders suggest that the killer was a transient, someone unknown to the Grubers who had been stalking them for some time. The legacy. The Hinterkaifeck Farm murders remain one of the most brutal and baffling unsolved crimes in German history. The farm was eventually demolished, and a memorial was erected in its place to remember the Gruber family and their maid. The haunting story of the Hinterkaifeck Farm serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes, the most terrifying tales are not the ones that are imagined, but the ones that have actually occurred in the dark corners of our world. The chilling tale of LaLaurie Mansion. In the heart of New Orleans' French Quarter lies a grim and horrifying tale of torture and cruelty that has haunted the city for almost 2 centuries. This is the true story of the LaLaurie Mansion and its infamous mistress, Madame Delphine LaLaurie. The setting. The LaLaurie Mansion is a stately 3-story building that still stands today at 1140 Royal Street in New Orleans. The mansion was built in 1832 by Dr. Louis LaLaurie and his wife, Delphine. The LaLauries were a wealthy and influential couple, known for their lavish parties and high social standing. On the surface, they appeared to be the epitome of refined Southern society, but behind closed doors, a horrifying secret was hidden. The discovery. On April 10, 1834, a fire broke out in the LaLaurie Mansion. As neighbors rushed to help extinguish the flames, they discovered a chilling scene in the attic. A group of slaves, emaciated and bound in chains, were found locked away in horrific conditions. it became apparent that they had been subjected to unspeakable torture and abuse at the hands of Madame LaLaurie. The slaves were found with their limbs stretched and contorted, mouths sewn shut, and some even had their eyes gouged out. The room was filled with the stench of death and decay, and the walls were stained with blood. Some of the victims had been left in such a state that they were barely recognizable as human beings. The aftermath news of the atrocities committed by Delphine LaLaurie quickly spread throughout New Orleans, sparking outrage and disgust. A mob formed and descended upon the LaLaurie Mansion, intent on exacting justice. However, the LaLaurie family had already fled the city, leaving behind their gruesome legacy. Madame LaLaurie was never brought to justice for her heinous crimes. She and her family reportedly settled in France, where she lived out the remainder of her days in obscurity. The hauntings. In the years following the discovery of the horrors within the LaLaurie Mansion, numerous reports of ghostly activity have been documented. The spirits of the tortured slaves are said to still haunt the building, their cries and moans echoing through the halls. Visitors and residents of the mansion have reported inexplicable cold spots, objects moving without cause, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. The ghost of Madame LaLaurie herself is also said to roam the mansion, her chilling laughter echoing through the night. Today, the LaLaurie Mansion remains a popular destination for those interested in the darker side of New Orleans history. The mansion has changed hands several times and has served as a private residence, a school, and even a bar. However, no matter its use, the chilling tale of Madame LaLaurie and her tortured slaves continues to haunt the building and the city itself. The story of the LaLaurie Mansion is a terrifying reminder of the darkness that can hide behind the most elegant and refined facades. It serves as a cautionary tale of the depths of human cruelty and the ghosts that linger in the shadows of our past.